Good morning, and welcome to the December 2024 end of the year and happy holidays open meeting of the Federal Communications Commission. Madam Secretary, would you please introduce our agenda for today?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Good morning to you and good morning, Commissioners. For today's meeting, you will hear 3 items and 3 enforcement actions for your consideration. First, you will consider a third report and order that would expand unlicensed use of the 6 gigahertz band by very low power devices in 2 additional subbands, making a contiguous 1200 megahertz of spectrum available for use by these devices. Second, you will consider a notice of proposed rulemaking that would amend the Commission's rules for radio and television stations to reflect current application processing requirements, clarify and harmonize provisions, and remove references to outdated procedures and legacy filing systems. Third, you will consider a report and order that would adopt targeted modifications to the requirements for letters of credit that recipients of Universal Service Fund high-cost support awarded through a competitive process must obtain. For items 4 through 6, you will consider separate enforcement actions. This is your agenda for today. Please note the item listed as 4th, Enforcement Order on Reconsideration in the December 4th, 2024 Sunshine Notice has been adopted by the Commission and deleted from today's agenda. Today's first item is titled Unlicensed Use of the 6 gigahertz band, Expanding Flexible Use in Mid-Band Spectrum between 3.7 and 24 gigahertz, and will be presented by the Office of Engineering and Technology. Ira Keltz, Acting Chief of the Bureau, will give the introduction.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Mr. Keltz, please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. I am pleased to introduce this third report and order that will create new opportunities for unlicensed use in the 6 gigahertz band from 5925 to 7125 megahertz. The item would allow very low power devices, unlicensed devices, to operate across the entire 6 gigahertz band, building upon the actions that we've taken in the past. Enabling these very low power devices to operate across that full band will provide opportunities for cutting edge applications that will help businesses, will enhance learning opportunities, advance healthcare opportunities, and new entertainment opportunities, among a whole bunch of other things. So it will, it's gonna. So joining me at the table is Baman Badapur, who's Chief of our Technical Rules Branch, and Annika Tachin, who is Electronics Engineer in our Policy and Rules Division. Annika will present the item.
Thank you, Ira. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners. The Commission's rules for the 6 gigahertz band, which spans from 5925 to 7125 megahertz, currently allows 3 types of unlicensed devices to operate: standard power devices, low power indoor or LPI devices, and very low power or VLP devices. Standard power devices operate in 2 portions of the 6 gigahertz band and under the control of an automated frequency coordination system. LPI devices operate across the band's 1200 megahertz, but at a lower power than standard power devices and are restricted to indoor use only. The third category, VLP devices, operate at even lower power levels than LPI devices and only in the same 2 portions of the band as standard power devices: Uni 5 at 5925 to 6425 megahertz and Uni 7 at 6525 to 6875 megahertz. The 6 gigahertz third report and order would adopt rules to expand VLP operation across 2 more bands: Uni 6 at 6425 to 6525 megahertz and Uni 8 at 6875 to 7125 megahertz, to encompass the full 1200 megahertz of spectrum available in the 6 gigahertz band. These new VLP devices would operate at rules consistent with those in place as existing VLP devices, at the same power levels with no restrictions on locations where they may operate and with no requirement to operate under the control of an automated frequency coordination system. To ensure the risk of harmful interference remains insignificant, these devices will be required to employ a contention-based protocol, implement a power transmit control, and be prohibited from operating as part of a fixed outdoor infrastructure. Our actions today pave the way for VLP devices to spur innovation by providing more capacity for emerging technologies and applications such as augmented reality and virtual reality, in-car connectivity, wearable on-body devices, healthcare monitoring, short-range mobile hotspots, high-accuracy location and navigation and automation. The rules will foster innovation and bring exciting new applications to American consumers. The Office of Engineering and Technology recommends adoption of this item and requests editorial privileges to make technical and conforming edits. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear comments from the bench. We start with Commissioner Carr.
Well, thanks to the team, just in time for the holiday shopping season. So many of Americans' gadgets end up running and operating on unlicensed spectrum, increasingly 6. Maybe this particular item won't be effective in time for those devices to take advantage of this, but maybe next year they will. I can't wait to see what America's innovators build on top of this additional permission in 6 gigahertz. I think we're going to look back at this as being a really important decision to power so many of those new devices going forward. So thanks so much to the team for your work. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Starks.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Today's order isn't just an important step forward in its own right. It's a continuation of the Commission's steadfast commitment to ensuring that 6 gigahertz reaches its full potential. This has, of course, been a long time coming. When we adopted the 2020 order, I said the 6 gigahertz band holds the unique potential to serve as a linchpin for more innovation and a more inclusive wireless future. And so by extending VLP device operations to Uni 6 and Uni 8 bands, we're providing the spectrum that the IoT ecosystem needs to thrive, as well as safeguarding the United States' position as the leader in unlicensed communication. So thank you for all of the hard work to OET. It has my strong support. Thank you.
Commissioner Symington.
Thank you. I support today's item and, as always, thank the OET staff for their hard work.
Commissioner Gomez.
So one of the driving forces of our work at the Commission is to foster wireless innovation, and this item just does just that. So thank you to the Office of Engineering and Technology for your work on this order.
Thank you, Commissioners. This week, the Armed Services Committee in both the Senate and House of Representatives released a compromise version of the 2025 National Defense Authorization Act. It is one of the highest priority bills we will see before the end of this Congress. This legislation has something in it that is also a high priority for the FCC, and that's authorizing auction authority for spectrum licenses that we have on hand in order to raise revenues to fully fund the removal of insecure equipment in our communications networks. This is good news for national security. It's also good news because it will mean more licensed spectrum off our shelves and put to use connecting millions of Americans. But powerful innovation in wireless does not only come from licensed spectrum. Unlicensed spectrum matters too. In fact, our lives run on unlicensed spectrum. We use it for everything from connecting at work and home with Wi-Fi, to supply chain management in warehouses and delivery trucks, from maximizing our workouts with fitness trackers and earbuds to making our homes more efficient and more smart. I like to think of unlicensed spectrum as an invisible force in our economy. Wi-Fi alone will foster $769 billion in economic growth in 2024. That number is projected to rise by 21% in 2025 and as high as 67% by 2027, when the latest version of Wi-Fi will be available for millions of devices. Now, this was all made possible more than 3 decades ago when some creative engineers at this agency challenged the status quo by suggesting that spectrum that was not licensed could be put to use for all. So the FCC opened a handful of underused frequencies, airwaves that were widely viewed as garbage bands, to anyone who followed some basic technical rules. An unlicensed spectrum was born. What followed was revolutionary. We made it possible to access airwaves without licenses, to innovate without permission, and to develop low-power wireless technologies that have changed the way we live and work. The challenge now is to keep this good stuff growing. So a few years ago, when the global pandemic put our Wi-Fi routers center stage, the FCC determined it was vital to identify additional spectrum to carry our unlicensed wireless activity, and we set aside a large swath of airwaves in the 6 gigahertz band. This was the right thing to do, because as fiber, cable, and commercial wireless move to gigabit speeds, we've got to make sure our Wi-Fi connections have the wider channels and additional bandwidth they need to keep pace. Today, we take that effort to support unlicensed activity in the 6 gigahertz band even further. We are opening up 350 megahertz of the 6 gigahertz band to small mobile devices operating at very low power. And when you combine that with the 850 megahertz of the 6 gigahertz band that we made for low power use just a year ago, we are expanding access to 1,200 megahertz to help jumpstart the next generation of unlicensed wireless devices. Now, this 1,200 megahertz means unlicensed bandwidth with a mix of high capacity and low latency that is absolutely prime for immersive real-time applications. These are the airwaves where we can really develop new wearable technologies and expand access to augmented and virtual reality in ways that will provide new opportunities in education, healthcare, and entertainment. This is the unlicensed spectrum where the future happens, and with the 6 gigahertz band, the United States is leading the way. So I want to thank everyone responsible for this effort, including Ira Keltz, Dana Schaefer, Krista Snell, Jamie Coleman, Jameson Prime, Michael Ha, Nicholas Orris, Bahman Badapur, Martin Doskat, Hugh Van Tile, Aniqua Tashin, Damian Ariza, Joe Preble, David Duarte, and Siobhan Philemon from the Office of Engineering and Technology, Jeff Newman from the Media Bureau, Patrick Sun, Alex Yankovic, and Pramesh Jobanputra from the Office of Economics and Analytics, Keith McCrickard, Doug Klein, Anjali Singh, and Dave Konskow from the Office of General Counsel, Dante Ibarra from the Office of International Affairs, Roger Noel, Paul Powell, Blaise Cinto, John Schabel, and Chris Andes from the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau, Whitney Lohmeyer, Sankard Perswad, Franco Hingenosa, Scott McCool, and Stephen Duval from the Space Bureau, and Michael Gusso and Jocelyn James from the Office of Communications Business Opportunities. It's a lot. All right. We'll proceed to a vote on the item. Commissioner Carr.
Approve.
Commissioner Starks.
Approve.
Commissioner Symington.
Approve.
Commissioner Gomez.
Approve.
Chair votes aye. The item is adopted with editorial privileges as requested. Thank you. Madam Secretary, please announce the next item on today's agenda.
Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners, item 2 on your agenda is titled Broadcast Rules Update and will be presented by the Media Bureau. Holly Sauer, Chief of the Bureau, will give the introduction.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Ms. Sauer, when you're ready, please proceed.
Good morning, Chairwoman and Commissioners. Today, the Media Bureau presents a notice of proposed rulemaking that continues our ongoing efforts to update broadcast radio and television rules. Join me are Ari Rangel, Alex Sanjanis, and Lisa Scanlon of the Media Bureau's Audio Division. Ari will present the item.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners. As part of the Media Bureau's ongoing effort to keep our rules updated and relevant, the item before you proposes to update 13 broadcast radio and TV rules to better reflect current application processing requirements, codify existing Bureau practices, and remove references to outdated licensing procedures. This item proposes rule changes that reflect the current electronic system of application processing and eliminate procedures associated with old paper applications. Additionally, the item proposes to remove rules that are no longer necessary after the conclusion of the television incentive auction and the 2021 filing window for new non-commercial FM stations. The item would also update several AM technical rules to provide AM broadcasters with greater flexibility to optimize their AM station operations. The item also proposes to provide applicants with greater flexibility concerning who may sign broadcast applications and will harmonize Media Bureau procedures with those used by other bureaus and offices. We also propose to revise the procedures for the public to file informal objections to Media Bureau applications to provide greater transparency and clarity to applicants and the public. The item seeks comment on these 13 proposed rule updates undertaken to ensure that the Commission's rules are accurate and administratively efficient, thus alleviating unnecessary burdens and improving how the public, applicants, and licensees engage with the Commission. The Bureau recommends adoption of this item and requests editorial privileges.
Thank you. We'll now hear comments from the bench. Commissioner Carr?
Thanks to the team so much for the work on this. A lot in there about efficiency, deleting unnecessary rules, modernizing regulations. I think there's a lot to like in there. So thanks for all the work you've done on this. It has my support.
Commissioner Starks?
Yes, same from me. Thank you for all the hard work. Unnecessary burdens, I think, was also mentioned. And so thank you. Appreciate it. It has my support.
Commissioner Symington?
Regulatory updates and efficiency are good. Thank you very much.
We are brief today. Commissioner Gomez?
I just want to note that we are quite unanimous in our sentiment about this item. It's important to keep our rules up to date. It makes requirements clearer for those that we regulate and also reduces the burdens on the regulatees and streamlines our important day-to-day work here at the Commission. So thank you very much to the Media Bureau for your good work on this item.
Thank you, Commissioners. There are so many screens and new devices in our lives, offering up all kinds of content when we want it and where we want it. So here we identify changes we can make under existing law that governs broadcasting, like the Communications Act of 1934, the Cable Television Consumer Protection and Competition Act of 1992, and Consolidated Appropriations Law from 2004. And we streamline the responsibilities radio and television stations have under our rules under these laws. So I want to thank the staff responsible for this effort, including Holly Sauer, Thomas Horan, Evan Morris, Al Schuldiner, Lisa Scanlon, Jim Bradshaw, Alex Sangenis, Amy Van de Kerkhove, Dana Bradford, Shante Willis, Ryan McClafferty, Son Nguyen, Ari Rangel, and Sean Mayer from the Media Bureau. Thanks also to Kim Makich and Michelle Schaefer from the Office of Economics and Analytics and Susan Aaron from the Office of General Counsel. We'll proceed to a vote on the item. Commissioner Carr?
Approve.
Commissioner Starks?
Approve.
Commissioner Symington?
Approve.
Commissioner Gomez?
Approve.
Chair votes aye. The item's adopted with editorial privileges as requested. Madam Secretary, please announce the next item on today's agenda.
Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners, item 3 on your agenda is titled Facilitating Broadband Buildout and will be presented by the Wireline Competition Bureau. Trent Harkrader, Chief of the Bureau, will give the introduction.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Chief Harkrader, when you are ready, go ahead and proceed.
Thanks so much. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners. The Wireline Competition Bureau is very pleased to present for your consideration a report and order that makes needed changes to our high-cost support rules to free up additional capital for rural broadband deployment. If adopted, this item would change the rules determining a bank's eligibility to issue letters of credit, would relax the letter of credit value requirements for certain rural digital opportunity fund support recipients, and for providers that meet certain conditions, align the letter of credit requirements between the Connect America Fund Phase 2 program and the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. I'd like to thank the Bureau team, of course, and our colleagues in the Office of General Counsel, the Office of Economics and Analytics, and the Office of Communications Business Opportunities for all of their hard work and analysis on this item. With me at the table are Jody Griffin, Deputy Bureau Chief, Jesse Jackman, Deputy Division Chief in the Wireline Competition Bureau's Telecommunications Access Policy Division, and Nathan Egan, who's an Assistant Division Chief in that division. Nathan will present the item now.
Thank you, Trent. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners. The report and order we present today if adopted, would make several targeted changes to the rules governing the letters of credit for carriers that receive high-cost support awarded through competitive bidding processes. Recipients of the support are required to obtain and maintain letters of credit which can be drawn upon in the event of default or other non-performance. These letters protect the Commission's expenditures and they safeguard our Universal Service Fund dollars. The report and order changes certain aspects of the letter of credit rules. First, the item changes the requirement that United States banks that issue letters of credit to recipients of this high-cost support awarded through our competitive processes maintain a Weiss Bank safety rating of B- or higher. Instead, this item would require banks to be well-capitalized according to regulations issued by the federal agencies responsible for supervising banks. This change would increase the number of banks qualified to issue letters of credit, which would then provide additional flexibility and decrease costs and administrative burdens for recipients of this high-cost support awarded through our competitive processes, while still ensuring that the Commission can rely upon the letters of credit that these well-capitalized institutions issue. Second, the item modifies the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund rule that allows support recipients to reduce the value of their letter of credit if they have met optional or mandatory deployment milestones. The first such optional milestone previously allowed a support recipient to reduce the value of its letter of credit if it had deployed service to at least 20% of its required locations by the end of its second year of support. This item lowers that optional deployment milestone to 10%, which will allow providers that have already made substantial progress towards meeting their deployment milestones to reduce their letter of credit value sooner, thereby freeing up capital to more expeditiously deploy broadband service to unserved and underserved areas. Finally, this item makes rule changes to permanently allow recipients of Connect America Fund Phase 2 auction support that have met their deployment and reporting obligations to follow the letter of credit rules for the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, which will allow those recipients to reduce their letter of credit values sooner, freeing up additional capital to more expeditiously deploy broadband service to the areas where it is most needed. The Bureau recommends adoption of this item and requests editorial privileges. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear comments from the bench. Commissioner Carr.
Thanks so much to the team. We're obviously always trying to strike a balance here between safeguarding funds and making sure that we don't divert resources and make sure that the broadband builders and participants in our program have access to the funds they need to actually do this. And we take another stab today at trying to strike the right balance, and hopefully we get it right or closer to right than we've been before. So thanks so much to the team for your work on it. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Starks.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This also has my strong support. I think it strikes the right balance, carrot and sticks here, in particular those that have already met certain threshold milestones. And so I deeply appreciated that policy cut that we made. Thank you.
Commissioner Symington.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy to see this item come across. It's if you're issuing credit, it's always great to deal with a rated bank, rated by an NRSRO, nationally recognized standard rating organization. Sorry, but with an NRSRO, the problem is you have to pay to get those ratings. So we had the Weiss rating system in place because Weiss is a voluntary freelance rating organization. They go out and rate everyone. In fact, sometimes they have very curious ratings, such as back in 2011 when they decided that U.S. government debt was a C-, or more recently when they rated Dogecoin higher than Goldman Sachs. So it's very difficult, though, because we need to have a mechanism in place to deal with community banks that are not going to pay for NRSRO ratings, which is why I'm really pleased to see that the team has come up with what I think is a fantastic solution, looking at bank capitalization and the adequacy of that. And I think this is a really great response to the difficult problem of wanting to support community banks, wanting to also to allow the use of national banks that would have NRSRO ratings and not disadvantage them relative to community banks, and all in the interest of efficient and safe use of public funds to do what the program is intended to accomplish, which is get broadband to Americans. So thanks very much, everyone. Got my support.
Thank you. First mention of Dogecoin in our meeting. We'll see if it's the last. Commissioner Gomez.
Thank you. So thank you to the Wyland Competition Bureau for your work on this item. It strikes the right balance between deploying broadband to the areas that most need it and protecting the integrity of the Universal Service Fund. The changes we make today will decrease the burdens that providers increasingly have faced. At the same time, it will continue to ensure the financial health of banks issuing the letters of credit. So I also appreciate the chairwoman's willingness to accept my edits. And again, thank you to the Bureau staff and the staff throughout the commission who worked on this item.
Thank you, Commissioners. If you want to build a digital future that works for everyone, you need to start with connecting everywhere in this country to high-speed broadband. And for the first time in history, we have so many programs to do just that. We have an unprecedented commitment to making sure no individual or community remains stuck on the wrong side of the digital divide. Of course, getting this done requires incredible attention to detail. One of the details that matters, really matters, is making sure that the funds we provide go to meaningful broadband build-out. And to ensure this is the case, the FCC has historically required that carriers receiving certain funds for service in high-cost areas secure a letter of credit from a qualified bank. This protects the integrity of our programs and helps ensure our ability to recoup support in the event of a default. So these are the right goals. But over time, we have found that aspects of our letter of credit requirements are so stringent that they can get in the way of building better broadband. That is why we update them here, and by doing so, we can help speed the deployment of high-speed service to those in places without. And with that, I want to thank the staff responsible for this effort, including Nathan Egan, Jody Griffin, Trent Harkrader, Jesse Jackman, and Heidi Lankow from the Wireline Competition Bureau. Melina Barzilai, Thomas Driscoll, Joel Graham, Michael Jansen, Richard Mallon, and Wissam Naum from the Office of General Counsel. Mary Lovejoy, Gary Michaels, Mark Montano, and Kelly Quinn from the Office of Economics and Analytics. Garrett Hanley from the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau. And Michael Gusso and Jocelyn James from the Office of Communications Business Opportunities. And we will now proceed to a vote on the item. Commissioner Carr.
Approve.
Commissioner Starks.
Approve.
Commissioner Symington.
Approve.
Commissioner Gomez.
Approve.
The chair votes aye. The item is adopted with editorial privileges as requested. Madam Secretary, please announce the next item on today's agenda.
Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners, items 4, 5, and 6 on your agenda are enforcement actions and will be presented by the Enforcement Bureau. Peter Hyun, Acting Bureau Chief, will give the introduction.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Because these items are enforcement actions, we're going to switch the order up just as the Commission has done in past cases that involve similar presentations at open meetings. As with all open meeting items, the Bureau circulated these to every commissioner at least 3 weeks ago. But there is a long-standing practice at the agency that we do not publicly disclose parties of enforcement matters unless and until the Commission decides to take action. For these types of items, this means that the agency formally votes on the item, then here's a brief presentation from the Bureau before proceeding to any statements that the commissioners may have. This process ensures that these sensitive matters will not be publicly disclosed until the FCC has voted to take action. And again, we are following that precedent here. So we're now going to proceed to a vote on these enforcement actions. And on item 4, Commissioner Carr.
Approve.
Commissioner Starks.
Approve.
Commissioner Symington.
Dissent.
Commissioner Gomez.
Approve.
The chair votes aye. The item is adopted with editorial privileges if requested. On item 5, Commissioner Carr.
Approve.
Commissioner Starks.
Approve.
Commissioner Symington.
Dissent.
Commissioner Gomez.
Approve.
The chair votes aye. The item is adopted with editorial privileges if requested. And finally, on item 6, Commissioner Carr.
Approve.
Commissioner Starks.
Approve.
Commissioner Symington.
Dissent.
Commissioner Gomez.
Approve.
The chair votes aye. The item is adopted with editorial privileges if requested. Mr. Hyun, please proceed with introducing the items.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners. Thank you for your consideration and your votes on these 3 enforcement items. Forfeiture orders against Reynald David, Joao Vieira, and jointly and severally Giovanni Pierre and Mario Turner for engaging in private radio broadcasting in violation of Section 511 of the Communications Act. The 2020 Preventing Illegal Radio Abuse Through Enforcement Act, or Pirate Act, codified as Section 511 of the Communications Act, requires the Commission to perform yearly pirate sweeps in the top 5 pirate radio markets. The 3 forfeiture orders for your consideration today stem from the 2023 pirate sweep conducted in the Boston market. They underscore the Commission's continuing commitment to curtailing pirate radio broadcasting. With me at the table today are Jeremy Marcus, Deputy Bureau Chief, David Marks, Chief Counsel in the Office of the Field Director, and Reggie Brashears, Field Counsel in the Office of the Field Director. Reggie will now present the item.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners. Unlicensed radio stations, also known as pirate radio stations, operate illegally. They undermine the Commission's efforts to manage limited radio spectrum and pose a danger to the public by interfering with licensed stations that inform their listeners of important public safety messages. These messages include emergency alert system transmissions, providing vital information regarding weather events and other public hazards. Accordingly, Commission enforcement action in this area is essential. The first item involves Renault David, operator of Latnevo Radio, a pirate radio station in Brockton, Massachusetts. During the 2023 Boston Pirate Radio Sweep, agents documented the station operating in the Brockton area without authorization 4 times between June and December of 2023. They found information on the station's social media pages linking David to that station. In July of 2023, David admitted to agents that he owned and operated Latnevo Radio and agreed to immediately halt broadcasting. During the follow-up investigation, however, agents twice found the station still in operation from the same location without operation. The Commission issued a Notice of Apparent Liability for Forfeiture, or NAL, against David on April 26, 2024, proposing a $120,000 forfeiture penalty. David did not respond to the NAL. Given David's disregard for Commission authority, the Enforcement Bureau thanks the Commission for adopting the forfeiture order, which fully affirms the underlying NAL. The second item involves Joao Vieira, operator of the pirate radio station Brockton FM in Brockton, Massachusetts. Agents located a pirate radio station operating without authorization on 2 occasions in June and July of 2023. Vieira admitted to agents that he was the operator of Brockton FM, and agents found that he was listed as the director on the station's website. The Commission issued an NAL against Vieira on April 26, 2024, proposing a $40,000 penalty. Vieira did not respond to the NAL. The Enforcement Bureau thanks the Commission for adopting the forfeiture order, which fully affirms the underlying NAL. The final item involves Giovanni Pierre and Mario Turner, joint operators of the pirate radio station known as Radio Tele Brockton 96.5, or Brockton Heat, in Brockton, Massachusetts. Agents located the radio station operating on 2 occasions in June and July of 2023. Information found on the station's social media pages linked both Pierre and Turner to the station's operations. On April 26, 2024, the Commission issued an NAL proposing, on a joint and several bases, a penalty of $40,000 against Giovanni Pierre and Mario Turner. Neither Pierre nor Turner responded to the NAL. The Enforcement Bureau thanks the Commission for adopting the forfeiture order, which fully affirms the underlying NAL. The Enforcement Bureau appreciates the Commission's adoption of these 3 items and the grant of editorial privileges.
Thank you. We will now hear any comments from the bench. Commissioner Carr.
Thanks to the team for your work on all these. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Commissioner Starks.
Yes, thank you to the Enforcement Bureau and, of course, the field for their hard work on these pirate radios. Thank you.
Commissioner Symington.
Thank you. No comments at this time.
Commissioner Gomez.
Pirate radio stations violate the integrity of our nation's radio communication systems. And the FCC has a responsibility to safeguard our airwaves, ensuring they are used for the public's benefit. It is therefore critical that the FCC continue to use its authority to hold pirate radio operators accountable time after time. So thank you to the Enforcement Bureau. This is important work.
Thank you, Commissioners. You know, at the FCC, we are stewards of the public airwaves. We help ensure that this vital resource is broadly available and free from harmful interference. And for those who fail to follow the rules, there are consequences. The 3 enforcement actions we announced today reinforce this fact. They also demonstrate our continued work to honor the responsibilities we have under the Pirate Act. I've consistently put these actions on the monthly agenda because I think they are also a way to honor the work of FCC staff in the field. These investigations involve agents in small FCC offices around the country, but the work they do is a big deal because when our personnel are out and about, they help protect the public airwaves we count on for so much in modern life. The same, by the way, goes for our emergency response teams who deploy after disasters to do a front-to-back, on-the-ground assessment of the state of communications. I last saw their efforts firsthand in North Carolina after Hurricane Helene, and I can confirm that they are nothing short of heroic. These aspects of our field work also often go unnoticed. I'm glad that we've been able to shine a spotlight on them and honor our field staff in small ways like we do here today. Now, for safety purposes, we do not name the individuals from our field offices responsible for these investigations, but we thank them, as well as the staff in Washington who took up their work and converted it into action, included David Dombrowski, Matthew Gibson, Peter Kahn, Robert Kincaid, Jeremy Marcus, David Marks, Erica McMahon, and Michael Rhodes from the Enforcement Bureau, as well as Bill Dever and Dave Konskow from the Office of General Counsel. Thank you. Would any of my colleagues like to make any announcements at this time? Commissioner Carr?
Good for now.
All right. Commissioner Starks?
Happy holidays to all.
Ah. Yeah. Commissioner Symington?
Green jacket and red ties, as festive as I get. Happy holidays.
All right, it's a party. Commissioner Gomez?
I want to wish the chair and my fellow commissioners, as well as the entire staff of the agency, a festive holiday season and a happy new year. Felices fiestas a todos y próspero año nuevo. See you in 2025.
All right, thank you, commissioners. And if you thought you were getting out of here fast, I got news. I have 7 retirement announcements and a new employee welcome, so get comfortable. We're going to start with Jeffrey Steinberg, who's here with us today, and he is retiring from the Office of General Counsel after 31 years with the FCC. Now, after starting in the Cable Services Bureau in 1994, Jeff led many teams in the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau that addressed things like infrastructure, historic preservation, and environmental review. And most recently, he was Assistant General Counsel in the Office of General Counsel, and he's long been a valued mentor and colleague to so many people in this halls, and I feel like this is the season, so I want to point out he has long been one of our FCC holiday carolers. Thank you, Jeff. We wish you only good things in retirement. Hong Chow is retiring after 33 years of government service here at the FCC. She started in the FCC's engineering and training program at our former Norfolk, Virginia field office. And she later worked in the former AM branch and most recently in the audio division, where she has tirelessly assisted so many AM broadcasters when they face technical difficulties trying to obtain their radio license. So we wish her the best in retirement. Linda Sanderson is retiring this month after 30 years at the FCC. Linda began her career at the FCC working as a data entry contractor, and over time took on so many different roles in the auctions division, and in fact, she helped set up our secondary auctions site in Gettysburg, which is really important for the agency's work. For the last decade, she's been Associate Chief of the Analysis and Implementation Team of the Auctions Division, and throughout her career at the FCC, Linda's contributed to the success of, count this, 90 Spectrum auctions. In retirement, she is hitting the road with her husband in their RV, so we wish them happy travels. Martha Stansel is retiring next month after 24 years at the FCC. She started her career in the auctions division, and she's been a vital part of 70 auctions for Spectrum licenses, broadcast construction permits, and orbital slots, as well as 4 auctions for universal service support. She helped with the broadcast incentive auction, and you know that's a big deal because we got an Emmy for it in the lobby, and she has been a go-to expert on auction design across the board. In recognition of her work, she was honored with the Excellence in Economic Analysis Award in 2021. Well deserved. She's looking forward to doing more traveling in retirement, so we wish her well. And Daniel Scheinman is retiring next month after 27 years at the Commission in the Wireline Competition Bureau, Media Bureau, International Bureau, and most recently in the Office of Economics and Analytics. He's a first-rate economist. How do I know? Little known fact, I co-authored an article with him in a book from MIT Press many years ago. It's a little obscure. You're going to have to do some work to find it. He's an expert in the economics of wireline broadcasting, satellites, and submarine cables. And he also received the Excellence in Economics Award. So thank you for your service, Daniel. Ying Qi will be retiring this January after nearly 13 years at the FCC. Before coming to the agency, he worked at the Department of Agriculture, and at the FCC, he put his PhD to use in what is now the Office of Economics and Analytics Industry Analysis Division. There, he's worked on maps for wireless emergency alert testing and the new broadband funding map. He's also worked on spatial data for study area boundaries and assisted with the development of the Hub, which is the high-cost universal broadband portal. His colleagues in the Office of Economics and Analytics are going to miss him, but they also wish him a very happy retirement. Rachel Kazan is retiring next month after 25 years at the FCC, and during that time, she has been a utility player on so many different projects. For the past 5 years, Rachel's service has been in management at the Office of Economics and Analytics, but before joining OEA, she was the Chief of Staff for the Broadcast Incentive Auction. And prior to this, she held various management roles in the Wireline Competition Bureau, the Consumer and Governmental Affairs Bureau, and the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau. She's really worked on everything from intercarrier compensation to the transition to digital television to matters involving tribal sovereignty. So Rachel's going to be missed in a big way, and we thank her for her service. All right, a lot of leaving, so here's someone who's coming. I'm pleased to announce that Jane Coffin actually joined the FCC on November 15th last month, and she's now serving as the new chief of the Global Strategy and Negotiations Division in our Office of International Affairs. She's bringing to the FCC more than 30 years of experience in international telecom, internet policy, working with multi-stakeholder groups, and we are so happy to have her expertise join the FCC family. And with that, Madam Secretary, will you please announce the next date for the Commission's monthly agenda meeting?
The next agenda meeting of the Federal Communications Commission is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025.
Until then, we stand adjourned.
Good morning, everyone. If you could take any outside conversations, we greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get some quiet in here. For those who don't know me, my name is Buildout Christie. I'm the Director of the Office of Media Relations. And also just wanted to announce quickly that the chairwoman will not be holding her regular press conference due to a scheduling conflict. So with that, I will invite my colleague, Katie Gorsback, who will be leading our Bureau press conference. Katie, welcome to the podium.
Okay. Welcome to the Bureau press conference. So we'll take questions on the items voted in order today. So first we'll start with our 6 gigahertz band question. Are there any technical questions for the Bureau folks on this? Matt? Yeah. Okay. Want to come on up?
Hi, Eva Doe, The Washington Post. So this sounds important, but also is quite technical. Would you be able to talk a little bit about, just in layman's terms, what this means?
So, sure. So the biggest thing, yes, it does sound very technical, but in a nutshell, we had already permitted very low-powered devices to operate in a portion of the two portions of the band. And that composed 850 megahertz in 2 non-contiguous blocks. What we did is now allow those very low-powered devices to operate across the full 1,200 megahertz. So we both expanded the amount of spectrum by that 350 megahertz, but it's also now a contiguous block. The biggest benefit that does is when you look forward towards Wi-Fi 6 and then the Wi-Fi 7 that uses wider channels, 320 megahertz channels, it fills in and almost doubles the amount of those wideband channels from, if you're looking at the 320 megahertz channels, from 4 to 7 available because of how they would have fallen with where those blocks ended. And that creates a tremendous amount of additional capacity for the unlicensed devices, which then allows more users in an area, allows the ability to do more innovation, more applications, and again, we're looking at new virtual reality, augmented reality devices, body-worn devices, medical sensors. I mean, I think the realm of what you can do is pretty much limitless. It's just what you can imagine, and and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this develops and what folks come up with. Sure.
Thanks. All right, thank you. Any questions on the broadcast rule updates? No? Okay. How about letter of credits and USF support? Oh, Matt, you threw me off. All right. WCB? Just put it up there for you.
Hey. Communications Daily, Matt Daneman. Thank you for taking the question. Commissioner Gomez had made the comment that she got some edits made to the item. Can the Bureau elaborate a little bit on what sort of changes were made from the draft, and as a subset of that, what kind of changes did she get made?
Sure. So the changes that we made to the draft, one of which was addressing a request for a waiver from Talkie Communications. The other, there's a number of other changes that we made just from the ex partes, things like that, typical cleaning up nits and stuff like that. Commissioner Gomez asked us to add language that recognized the challenge that some tribal carriers have in obtaining these letters of credit. So we added some language like there in that. Of course. Yeah, you bet.
All right, last is our pirate radio items from the Enforcement Bureau. Are there any questions on these items? No? Okay. Well, that concludes our Bureau press conference. I believe Commissioner Carr is available for his, so I will close here. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Good to see you all. Last press conference of the year. From my end, off the top, just want to acknowledge the recent designations from President Trump and the transition team. I think they've been doing a phenomenal job with these picks, including yesterday Andrew Ferguson to lead the Federal Trade Commission. He has staked out an aggressive agenda that aligns with a lot of my own thinking on reining in big tech. Mark Meter as well, being announced by the President to be added to the Federal Trade Commission, and then obviously before that, Gail Slater to run antitrust at DOJ. I think together there's going to be a really good opportunity for all of us to work together on some really important issues, so I'm really looking forward to that. With that, I'm happy to open it up.
Commissioner Matt Daneman, Communications Daily. I'm, speaking of, I'm sorry, let me back up. Sort of a policy question, NTIA BEAD-wise. Do you see a role that satellite and unlicensed fixed wireless should be playing outside of very high-cost areas? How could something like that be done? You've sort of brushed on this topic a little bit in public comments, and I'm curious what you would like to see NTIA do going forward.
Yeah, obviously in the main, I leave that at this point to Commerce Department and the team that they're putting together. Obviously don't want to speak for them or their views. My own thought that I've sort of articulated over the years is that the law itself codified a requirement of technology neutrality, and nonetheless, I think things moved away from that. So I do think returning to that core legislative concept of tech neutrality, ultimately informed and dictated by commerce leadership, is the right way to go, because the current path that we're on with BEAD is unsustainable. Both if you look at it as a matter of timeline, we're behind schedule, and fiber builds take a lot longer than other technologies. But also, if you look at the dollars that are available in some of the estimates, you have a lot of states, I think over a dozen states by my last estimate, that are crying uncle and saying, under this current fiber-heavy approach, we're going to run out of money before we deliver on all of our digital goals. And so I think there's a lot of indicators there where we do need to take a fresh look at it, but ultimately that will be the decision made by Commerce and NTIA leadership. I'm happy to offer my views. I haven't been too shy over the years, but ultimately this is going to be their call.
Thanks. Eva Doe, Washington Post. I saw you made some comments on CNBC recently about Salt Typhoon, how it made you want to smash your phone and how the horse is out of the barn.
I know that was not a very technical answer, but I was trying to sort of take what you hear in the skiff and translate in a way that sort of people will viscerally understand. So that's where I landed on that phrase.
So would love your thoughts on what you think would be an appropriate U.S. government response and
Yeah.
FCC's role in it. And associated with that, your thoughts on the cybersecurity of LEO satellites compared to terrestrial networks. Thanks.
You know, stepping back, obviously, Salt Typhoon has been publicly reported is most likely the most significant and far-reaching cyber attack, cyber incident in U.S. history. I don't personally want to speak to the depths of it because, you know, my brain is filled both with skiff level information and public reporting information. But you can look for yourself and see the reports about the types of information that is at risk. Obviously, I think we never should have been in this situation where these networks are compromised at this level. I think going forward, two things need to happen. One, we need to continue to coordinate with a team that obviously cuts across the three-letter agencies. We need to continue to define that, collaborate, and coordinate with a intra-agency team focused on ameliorating this issue as quickly as possible. The fact of the matter is we have to get the horses back in the barn. So job one needs to be for the FCC to continue to be at the table, closely coordinated with all of these other cyber-related agencies, focused very, very narrowly on getting this thing under control, getting it solved. Second, what we need to do as we continue to go through that process is in parallel, we need to be feeding information directly to the C-suites and cyber officials at the targeted companies as we are identifying vulnerabilities, as we are in real time, identifying solutions and remedies, and we need to be getting that information to them. If there is any issue with respect to those entities taking remedial steps based on what we're seeing in real time, then we can sort of deal with that and address that on a separate track. But to me, those are the two things that we need to do immediately. One, again, is sort of to continue this close collaboration focused on solving and addressing this issue now. And then second, feeding remedial actions into carriers because we can't wait, you know, years for remedial steps to start to be taken. They need to be going on right now. So that's a two-prong approach that I'd be pushing for.
And would you say LEO satellites, are they safer than these terrestrial networks, or how does that stand at this point?
At this point, I'm not in a position to sort of publicly provide an assessment on technologies. I mean, there's been, I think, some public reporting, perhaps in the Wall Street Journal, that, you know, older copper line networks were more vulnerable. But in terms of sort of where things lay right now, I'm not ready to sort of make a statement about type of technologies being more or less vulnerable to this particular attack. Obviously, we need baseline protections across all different types of technologies because our network right now is built on lots of different technologies interconnecting.
And if I could sneak in one more question. You've been outspoken on TikTok in recent years. What's your current thinking about a TikTok ban, and where do you think the Trump administration is on it?
Yeah. Congress took this issue and passed legislation. It was challenged in the courts. As you saw, the courts recently issued their ruling. The law passed by Congress includes lots of options for moving forward, options that include many paths forward that don't require the app itself to be shut down in this country. I personally have nothing against short-form video apps. I think it's fine. The issue has always been when it comes to all forms of technology, whether it's here, Huawei, or ZTE, it's about national security issues. And Congress addressed this issue, and again, they put forward lots of paths that can ensure U.S. security that are short of a ban. And at this point, I'm letting that process run out.
Commissioner, Do you anticipate, or have you had any conversations with Department of Government Efficiency about areas of the government or policies of the government that could be a fruitful target for Doge? Do you anticipate having such conversations?
I anticipate having those. Yeah, there's been no formal discussion at this point with Doge. I don't think it's been obviously sort of formally set up at this point, but I do think there's lots of opportunities of synergies at the FCC, either operating on our own, even if Doge was never or is never set up, to look to push for greater efficiencies. We need to continue to be nimble. We need to continue to innovate. This idea that we're going to run a process at the agency just because that's how it's been done for the last 10 years. I think it's important that all of us in the agency continue to question from a first principles perspective of what's the best way to do this, what's the most efficient way to do this, and sort of do a soup to nuts review. But I anticipate that'll be a lot more next year than the remainder of this year. Sure, yeah, there's a lot, inside the building, but also if you step out and look outside the building, when I was in the majority from 17 to 20, one of the things we did on the efficiency side was look at permitting reform. I think that's one that we need to take another fresh look at. We made a lot of progress back then, in particular on small cell reforms. I'm very open-minded to taking a look at some of those reforms and pushing them towards other technologies under our authorities with 332 and 253. I think in terms of efficiency, that might be sort of top of mind because up to now, we've been spending a lot of money on these broadband infrastructure programs, but we haven't been streamlining the permitting, and that's like jumping on the gas and the brakes at the same time, so we can really unlock a lot of investment, a lot of new builds if we look for efficiencies in the permitting side. So, good, thanks all, appreciate it. See you next year.